Hi there, my name is Louise Stevens. I'm a business strategy expert, a digital marketing coach, and the creator of Live What You Love business coaching. But what I'm really excited about is today I have the opportunity to introduce you to one of my amazing clients, Leyla Harry, who is the creator of the Conscious Tribe. Over the next 15 minutes, Leyla is going to share with you her extraordinary journey from working with myself, as well as starting the business of her dreams. What you're going to discover is how Leyla felt really stuck. She felt confused, she felt frustrated, and she had an idea that she wanted to be able to go to market with, only she had no idea how. She was also unsure if now was the right time. But through taking action, she's not only attracted more paying clients into her healing business, she's decided it's the right time and is ready to go to market to be able to start attracting her dream clients into her business and continue focusing on transitioning out of her corporate job, as well as creating not only the business of her dreams, but also the lifestyle to match. I'm really excited to share in this journey with you, and I can't wait for you to be able to discover more about Leyla's journey and celebrate her success too. Today, I am here joined with the amazing Leyla Harry from the Conscious Tribe. And Leyla, as I have said to you before we jumped on, thank you so much for sharing the next few minutes with me to share and celebrate in your journey that we've just gone together over the last 12 weeks. And of course, share your experience, the highs, the lows, the whatever it is that you want to share. And I guess with anyone out there listening that is looking for a little bit of inspiration, then to be able to draw that from your wonderful self. So I will, of course, be quiet, and I would love it if you would take the opportunity to be able to introduce a little bit about yourself, your business, and of course where you were at, 12 weeks ago before we started working together.
Okay, yep. So hi everyone. Yes, I'm founder of the Conscious Tribe, a business coach and branding coach. So yeah, I really help women to really understand and explore their inner purpose and then translate that into a conscious business with the understanding, I guess, that when you're aligned to something that you really feel deep within your heart and you're really passionate about, I guess any business that comes off the back of that is going to be not just aligned and bring you a lot of joy, but also be ultimately, I think, a lot more successful when you roll it out. So yeah, basically I help with the branding and business aspect of getting that up and running. So primarily the strategy side. I was in a world of pain when I reached out to you. I reckon I was at the lowest ebb I'd been at probably in the 18 months or so that I'd been sort of navigating my way to starting this business and sort of finding myself to where I was. I knew that I had a good idea, but I was really struggling, despite with lots of sort of marketing and business experience, to really sort of activate that idea. So I was feeling really stuck, really overwhelmed and really unclear as to sort of where to go to next. So I'm great at the big picture, but when it comes to your own business, sometimes knowing what the small steps are next to take can be actually the thing that can really trip you up. So yeah, I guess I was struggling. I was really struggling when I first came to you. So, and I really needed that support. Like I really was doing a lot of stuff by myself. So I was feeling quite isolated and lonely. And yeah, I really needed somebody to talk to. So I'm a naturally really collaborative person. That's where I'm really strong, and I love supporting other people in that and creating that sort of space. But finding myself, and I'm also a twin, so finding myself in an environment where I'm working primarily by myself without somebody just to bounce ideas off and to talk to on a frequent basis about something that I'm really passionate about and I want to kind of get out in the world was really tough, actually. And I had progressed. But there was some stuff that was definitely, I found myself grinding to a halt, and I was also experiencing quite a lot of fear. So quite a lot in it, actually. Quite a lot in it. And I think some of the, the kind of very mind-based things of, I'm going to do a plan, I'm just going to get going, were being blocked by that stuff that was, sort of underneath the surface effectively that needed to be sort of worked through.
Yeah, cool. It's funny thinking back 12 weeks ago because, you know, you have come truly so far over such a short period of time, and, you know, kind of reliving that first connection that we had and then having gone through the journey and being at your point now. So where are you at in your business now?
Yeah, I've definitely moved through, again, you know, sort of going back, I think I thought, you know, I could just sort of activate that idea, which is, and sort of move forward. And really what I think we've been able to do is go underneath the surface and work through that stuff that's sitting there, like the fear and the overwhelm and the stuckness and those things, and really get down into some of that stuff and work through each part. So I definitely feel more clear. I don't feel as hindered by that fear. I've been able to start putting myself out there, and I've also been able to move forward with actually really thinking about how to actually bring this idea into fruition in a more sort of, I think probably in a more structured, I don't know if it's structured way, because I do have structure, but it's like really getting your experience and really leaning on that versus just sort of intuitively kind of getting my way through it. I think that's really key too in working with coach and also working specifically with you, Lou, is that you just have this wealth of experience that you bring to the table that I was able to sort of leverage from multiple perspectives, which I'll talk about in a bit. But I thought that was really, really a unique sort of part that you bring to the table. But yeah, I definitely feel a lot more confident, a lot more clear, like I have a bit more courage, and yeah, ready to go, but with sort of a firmer base, I think, that sits underneath that.
Yeah. I remember from our first call together, you know, you shared with me what the Conscious Tribe was all about, the different energy healing that you had been doing, as well as the concept that you had that you wanted to be able to bring to market. And, you know, there was a lot going on. So needless to say, there was a bit of overwhelm in that because you really didn't know where to go. But I will always remember when you said to me, I'm just not sure if it's the right time. And I remember thinking, I internally laughed, thinking, if you're talking to me, Dal, it's the right time. So this is quite common, though. A lot of people go, oh, God, I don't know if it's the right time. And it never really is the right time, right? Or it always is the right time, depending on what way you look at it. So how do you feel about the time now? Do you feel like, you know, you're still sitting in that place trying to understand who your ideal client is and, you know, what it is that you've got to offer and exactly, you know, the packages that you wanted to put together? Or are you still sitting on that fence going, no, it's still not the right time for me. I'm going to wait again until later?
No, I definitely know that it's the right time. I think that that sort of inner perfectionist has been sort of worked through. It still rears its ugly head every now and then. And look, perfectionism actually has a good function when it's used as a strength. So sometimes I think it gets overly criticised, and we sort of shame that part of ourselves. I do things to a really high standard. That's great. However, I also can do things to a really high standard, and sometimes you just need to get going. But I think working with you, you've been able to put the base in place, which I sort of, yeah, that really serves. That's important, I think, for me. That sort of structure and stuff like that, and understanding has been really important. But the concept of time is a really interesting one because it's something I'm working on more broadly as a thing about how much we attach to this idea of time. And I find myself sort of more and more coming back into the moment for different aspects of my life. When it comes to business, it's really interesting. I still have this, you know, kind of expectation that I'm going to be somewhere, but working with you, as in be somewhere where I'm not, but working with you has really helped me to manage and mediate some of that for myself and just to come back into the moment. Like, you know, I was putting all these arbitrary dates and pressure on myself to be somewhere. Why? Why was I doing that? I don't know. So letting go of some of that through the last 12 weeks has been really important. Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff actually, even though I've definitely got some stuff down on paper, a lot of the stuff has really been done underneath the surface, and we're picking off and picking through each of the blocks that were really deep within inside of me, and having you hold that mirror up to me each time in a really compassionate way was really important for me to be able to, I guess just see them and go, oh, okay, that's happening, and then kind of looking how is I going to work through it each time. There's definitely a new one each week.
That's the fun bit.
But that's life, and self-awareness is important, I think, for anybody in business. So I think that learning process is absolutely critical, and great. I'm glad I went through it. Super wrapped.
Cool. And now I might be wrong in this. I know that you do invest a lot in yourself in terms of your personal development. You utilize groups online to be able to try different techniques or learn different things to bring more to your self-awareness. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that you'd worked with a business coach or mentor prior to working with myself. So why ultimately did you decide that, Lou, you can help me bring my business forward? Because it's your time and energy being invested in me. So why did you feel like I was going to be the right person to be able to help you?
Well, I have actually worked with one before. So I do actually have a contrast. It was quite a long time ago. It wasn't so much a business coach. I would say that the comparison between that is you guys could not be more different in lots of ways. I think it's a funny one to try and put into words, actually, because I have so much respect for you as a person, but also as a professional. I think when we first had that Zoom call, to know that, one, you are a really likable and easygoing and a real person. Like, you just don't have those sort of airs and graces that mean that you feel like you're sort of sitting over there sort of espousing your knowledge, and you're just really real, and you just keep it real. That's a very likable thing. So I liked you from the get-go, and just had a real resonance in terms of the quality of the person you are, and that's really important, that alignment. I think I've been waiting for you to come in, basically, for that level of support, that trust. Like, I could just be completely myself and out all the stuff, that was sort of happening without any fear of any judgment or anything like that. But also, because you've got this amazing website with all these resources, for me, I was really ready to get going, but some of the things I was lacking were, those structural aspects, and even things just as basic as planning out my week and things like that, they're really important. They're actually things that were sort of sliding by the wayside, despite me having been in planning roles and done weekly whips and stuff back in my corporate days. I just wasn't doing that stuff. So it's amazing how I think having that business foundation, that structure there as to how are you going to go about each step, whether it's planning your week out, to, looking at your customer avatar, to planning out your content. All of those resources being on your website are amazing. And then obviously you've got your Facebook group too, which is just really nice to connect with women, and who are going through exactly what you're going through. So I just haven't really seen anybody out there that has that many resources and that sort of process mapped end to end. Usually it's sort of at different points, or they're doing it for you. So if you're sort of, semi-capable and you want to learn and you've got some of that skill set already or whatever, you just need to be taken back to the basics structurally. It's perfect for you, perfect. And obviously you're hands-on in helping anyway, but it's great for anybody who wants to get in and get their hands dirty, basically, but just needs some support along the way. So yeah, I think and obviously the calls and stuff, the frequency of the calls were fantastic. But I was thinking back to the person I worked with before, I just didn't have that level of trust, that immediate level of trust that I got with you, and that likability and that connection was something you can't actually sort of script. It's just either there or it's not. And, I think for me personally, you get the mix right between empathy and accountability, and that you pivoted beautifully through our time together. And when I worked with the other person, it wasn't that pivoting. There's also a lot more reflection on their own lives and what was going on in that. And I found that really difficult. So you were just able to sort of draw parallels to your own life, but there wasn't most of the time was spent talking about what I was working on. So that's been my only experience. I didn't find that first experience great. So, and also the results, to be honest, were kind of sort of like question mark with the other person. Whereas with you, I found it, you were right up front seeing goals and things like that, which again really resonates with my personality type. Like, it's just the structure that I think is really important, and actually in business, it does actually really help. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thanks. Sometimes we can, we know we need help. I know I do this. I know that many of my clients do this. Get stuck. We know we need help. We start looking for someone to be able to help us move forward closer to the place that we want to be. And then when we are thinking about saying yes to that commitment of that time, the energy, and some people financially, there can be some fear that comes up because we know that we're going to go through a growth phase, and it can be a little bit scary. Do you have any types of fear that kind of came up before we started working together, or even through the process?
Well, I think juggling multiple things for me is definitely was a key issue. So it wasn't so much a fear, but it was definitely a block that was impeding my capacity to kind of move forward. So I had to work through that with you. It was, I think, the first thing we did. So clearing some space to allow this, awesome idea to come through, I needed to do that work. And it's still something I do. I think allowing some balance also in my life, so recognising that was still really important. And when you're running a business, you can be putting everything into it, and that's great. But, I have other things that I want to be doing in my life as well. So, you were kind of amazing at sort of helping me map that out and looking at that ideal week. So I think time was a really big one. Definitely financially, there's been an issue. So, cash flow in a small business is hard, and I was basically working mostly out of the business when I first started talking to you. So being able to get back in and create some financial flow and, get some people coming back in through the door was awesome. I mean, I love doing this work. So, mentally I was making a bit of a transition when I spoke to you. So I was laying a foundation by getting a new studio and those sort of things. But, you're right. When I first spoke to you, one of the biggest things was I'd sort of got myself almost to the mind space of and heart space of, is this ever going to happen?
Yeah. Which is quite common. I think we often get to that point, and that's when we reach out for help because we know something needs to change. We know that we may not have the time or the resources to make it happen. If we don't find the time or the resources, nothing changes. There's always that catch-22, right? And it's like when you put a priority on something, then there can be an attraction of, or there definitely is an attraction of more time, and then an attraction of finances from multiple different areas. And we kind of go, it works out in the end anyway. So really the fear is of actually stepping forward, right? And I know that we've spoken a lot around taking the next step. The fear comes up, working through it, keeping on moving forward, regardless of what those little friends of ours that sit on our shoulders say.
Yes. Also, I just think there's something about, you can't quantify some of this stuff to yourself, but I know, or talking to somebody else, but I know that the gains that I've got in the 12 weeks would have far surpassed what I've got. So working with you, it's far surpassed what I would have got working with myself.
Yeah.
It's an absolute no-brainer. So, getting back online, rolling out the program that I've got, getting clients coming back in the healing space, all of those things are tangible outcomes. But underneath that surface, also, and this is an area that I'm sort of really passionate about for myself, is that self-growth and self-development and working through and clearing all that shit. Like, it's just awesome. Like, I just feel, more free and unencumbered, but also more aware of it. So when it's coming up, I've actually got some skills, additional skills that I didn't have, some things to kind of work through that stuff. And also your sage words of advice along the way that kind of go through my head, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's what's happening. Okay. Yeah, keep moving. It's okay. So yeah, it's I just think there's like you can't quantify that time thing necessarily, but I think unquestionably that my progression in the 12 weeks it would have far surpassed me working by myself, and for that I'm really grateful. Like really grateful.
But while we're talking about fear, sometimes taking next steps in our business is scary. We all experience that. And sometimes I ask my clients or suggest to my clients to do some different strategies that bring up some fears in them. Some of my clients have really not loved me too much when I've suggested lives, when I have suggested starting to put content out there, potentially get out networking, stories. Like there's a whole bunch of different strategies that, as you know, you've got access to in the membership portal and that you have personally taken action using. Were there any of those that particularly scared you? And how do you feel about them now, if there is?
I think the scariest one was probably the live that I did, the Facebook Live. I'd been offline by choice for at least 6 months before I spoke to you. That's because I was not feeling in alignment with my message and I was shifting into something else. But I'd been offline for 6 months. So, I knew that when I got back online, this is just, again, a personal thing, that I wanted to have that resonance and I really wanted to be clear about what I was saying and to be able to speak with some level of authority and stuff. But I think, and I also knew that I wanted to move into doing videos basically. So I think that working through with you on some of those basics of how to get back online really helped me. Yes, it was sort of scary, but when I actually did it, I felt so much more at ease because I had some of that foundational stuff there about my message, who I was speaking to and what I was speaking about. And again, you came in at that perfect time where I just needed somebody to bounce those ideas off. A lot of it was already here, I'd written it down, but also seeing your resources online and seeing you do it, actually, that's one of the biggest things. Seeing you get in and just do it all the time and you just show up, that actually is the biggest thing that inspires me, that moved me out of my fear, because I could see you did it and that made me just believe in myself a bit more, really, because I see that, I could be, I see you're a couple of years ahead of me and I think, well, okay, we can do it, well, I can go too. So I think that's again, that just, I don't know, there's something in that kind of resonance or something that I look at and go, okay, it doesn't feel so far away from me. So when I got on and did it, yes, it was a bit scary, but I sort of felt ready at the same time. Like it was a weird thing. I just kind of pushed through it. So I wasn't having a meltdown.
Yeah.
I was just like, I did it and I thought, okay, that's great.
It's not as hard.
It's done. Now I can do the next one. So yeah, we can build a lot of stuff up in our heads.
Yeah.
But we're talking to somebody else, I think particularly for women, it's really important. We love a community and, you provide that community. Simple as that.
Awesome. Thank you. So I think you've given us a pretty clear idea of what it looks like to work with me already. So thank you for sharing a bit of insight in terms of, the different ways that I work with my clients. I think my last question, and if you've got anything else after that you want to add, then by all means go ahead. But I guess my final question to you would be, for anyone that would be considering, working with a coach, specifically in their business, why would you ultimately recommend them to say yes to transforming that area of their life, and I guess subsequently putting their hand up and being, I guess, asking questions to myself or choosing to work with myself to help them move their business forward?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it because there's lots of definitely words to get bandied about working with a coach, but I really do believe for certain things in business and in life that the idea that two heads are better than one really great kind of works. And I do think that yeah, I think that really, really resonates for me, that more collaborative sort of nature on certain things, particularly if you've worked in a team before. And, you know, even if you didn't really enjoy working in a team, it's still just, there's a lot of stuff that can come out of having two people working on something. And when you're running your own business, you don't usually have that. So at a bare minimum, just somebody to talk to, but obviously the support is another thing. So you play that supportive role, but you also hold a level of accountability. So I think those two things together are really, really important to working with a coach. You know, somebody to talk to, not just to bleed out every day, but, you know, actually then to have somebody saying, okay, so this is where we got to, and here's where we want to go to, and this is what you told me, and, you know, just really kind of holding that mirror back up about what are we trying to achieve here is really, really critical to getting that traction. So, yeah, I think that was the two really important things under sort of that, you know, two heads are better than one kind of idea that I think is just invaluable in working with a coach. And as I've said to you before, I don't want to stop working with you. So I need to just go and create the money to basically make the next stage happen. But, yeah, I don't see it as a finished thing for me. You know, yeah, and also I personally think I really value people's expertise. And I think that knowing when you need to defer to somebody else is really, really important. So we don't have that ability necessarily to always delegate to other people like we might have been if we had teams and stuff in the past. But, you know, in the context of a coach, you've got somebody who can effectively guide and steer you, but also give you some of the tools that you might need, and also play that sounding board for things as they come up around ideas and stuff like that. So even like when I built my customer avatar, I sent that straight to you and you checked it and you said, that's great. That's great is really helpful. It gives you that confidence and you go, okay, cool, because you've done it. Simple as that. You've done it and you have that understanding. But you are not only a coach who's run a successful business, which is fantastic and very, you know, aspirational, but secondly, you've actually worked in business and so you understand that space as well. So you have that toolkit to bring to the table as well. So for me, it was like an absolute like gold nugget. Like I was just like, oh, you know, the angels were singing. I was like, oh my God, she's like my perfect person. So yeah, it's true. And yeah, just a perfect fit in that way for me. I couldn't hope for any better.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all right.
I guess, you know, the last, you know, it's been roughly about 14 weeks because we had a couple of gaps in there with you going away for your birthday and stuff like that. But, you know, the reason why I love doing these style of videos is that we do actually get the opportunity to talk about where things were and reflect on the different things that were done along the way to get to where you are right now, because we can be sometimes so focused on moving forward and getting to the goals that we want to achieve that we forget about all of the things along the way, because we are obviously forward focusing on it. And, you know, to think back of, you know, 14 or so weeks ago when we first connected and, you know, you had all these different ideas and even, you know, in parts of your business, you had clients coming in, but you were not necessarily always charging what you were worth in them and then being like, well, we're going to ultimately change that, and you did that all by yourself simply through your internal growth and the confidence that, you know, you brought to the table. It has really been an absolutely amazing journey. As I said to you last week, I'm always so grateful to my clients because although I help you guys in return, you know, help me live out my dream life at the same time. And, you know, and we also laugh because we look fairly similar. So when we're talking, it's really like we're talking to each other. So watching this, sometimes we would even turn up in matching clothes. And that was always really, really funny. And that's when you know you have 100% aligned with your ideal clients when you're but above all else, you know, it has been a true honour, like, you know, to watch you put yourself out there, to get clearer and clearer on your message. Every single week you would come to the table and be like, you know, right, I've been working on this. This is where I'm at. and this is the next step I want to take forward, to you starting to do lives, to truly, you know, show up as the person that we all, including your friends and family, could already see you being, and have you catch up to actually believing that in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it has been absolutely amazing, and I'm super excited, you know, for the launch plan that you mentioned earlier that you are, you know, basically about to roll out. And, but, you know, still being able to continue to be a part of your journey as part of our online group, and to cheer you on. And, you know, and I certainly know that our journey, in whatever capacity that looks like, will continue, you know, further forward. I don't just die to my clients. So,
Oh my God.
I know. Sometimes people just think, well, what happens? And it's like, well, I'm not dead. It's okay. I'm still here. But, you know, it has been a real honour, and I am so incredibly grateful, and thank you so much for sharing it with me, and thank you for spending some time sharing it with others, and giving me permission to record this, because, you know, I really value that, and I know that there'll be others out there that watch it and will gain some confidence to be able to know that they can move forward, and whether that works with me or whether that's, you know, doing it by themselves, entirely up to them. Before I stop blabbering on, did you have anything else that I've not given you the opportunity to say, or do you feel like we have answered everything that we kind of planned out?
No, the only thing I would say is that if speaking to somebody else, if they're watching this, if they felt ready to get going, a little bit unsure as to sort of how, but they're sort of thinking, oh, I might need a coach to help me, but they're concerned about the things we've already discussed around, I don't know, financials or something like that, I'd say let that part go and step forward and just try, because actually I really don't think you will lose. I think that we all have some stuff built into us that can stop us from growing, and it's like a negative little voice will be like, no, that's too much money, or you don't have the time, or you can do this all by yourself, you're okay, or, you know, maybe it's too hard to ask for help, or all of those sort of things, and that's the ego. I'd say catch it, pay attention to that voice, but listen to the higher self, which is telling you that this is aligned, and it's okay to accept the help, and there's nothing you're going to lose by doing it. It's only just going to be gained. So that's probably the only thing I just wanted to say is, you know, sort of, if you're feeling ready but you're just unsure how to activate that next point, like, I think engage you, because I think that's really where you're amazing. You're just amazing for people who want to be basically go, okay, I'm ready now. Let's go. Let's go. So yeah, that's why I just wanted to make that point. It was kind of coming through. But otherwise, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I'm so grateful for our time together. As I said to you last week, I tell all my friends that I love Lou, but I love Lou. So and definitely the biggest, you know, cheer squad there is going. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate all your time and expertise. It always makes me emotional whenever I say that. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing this journey with us. I've absolutely loved it. So thank you.
Yeah.